The Toronto International Film Festival is back in Hogtown. For the next several days, Toronto will be overrun by film buffs and celebrities alike as several major motion pictures make their debuts. One film premiering is Green Room, starring Patrick Stewart of Star Trek fame. The plot involves members of a rock band trapped in a secluded venue after stumbling upon a horrific act of violence. They soon end up in the clutches of some really bad dudes who want to get rid of them and any evidence. Check out this scene.
Man, he's got 6 bullets.
For real?
We all go once?
Christ, hold off a sec.
For what?
We haven't done anything.
Doesn't matter.
Okay. They're called cartridges.
Now, can you possibly guess what group the bad guys are affiliated with, folks? If you said Al-Qaeda or ISIS or the Taliban or any other organization that currently exists as a clear and present danger to the free world today, you'd be wrong. Rather, that brief clip of the Confederate flag is your dead giveaway. You see, the baddies in Green Room are white supremacists because, hey, we all know that neo-Nazis are causing untold carnage to the world on a daily basis these days. Now, as a white guy, I personally have no problem with a bunch of hateful honkies being portrayed as villains. I don't. But Green Room is another example of how Hollywood in our post-9/11 era keeps the blinders on when it comes to depicting certain identifiable groups as heavies. Which is to say, don't expect any films anytime soon to depict Islamist zealots as villains, even though Islamist zealots tend to be villains in real life. Got that? Indeed, according to religionofpeace.com, the number of deadly attacks carried out in the name of Allah since 9/11 alone is more than 26,000, but in movie land, studios go out of their way to avoid depicting Islamic terrorists as villains. Better to play it safe with white-powered skinheads. But what's driving this perverse agenda? Is it to avoid insulting the sensibilities of Islamists? Is it because studios assume moviegoers are too damn stupid to realize the difference between a law-abiding Muslim citizen and a jihadi terrorist? Or do studio executives and movie stars fear that bad things will happen to them if they dare to depict Islam in a less than favorable light? The fear factor wasn't always so prevalent, folks. Consider the 1994 James Cameron blockbuster True Lies. The bad guys are indeed Islamist terrorists, albeit thankfully very incompetent ones.
You're fired.
Now, really, 2 decades after the release of True Lies, you have to ponder if this movie could even be made today given the PC climate in Hollywood. After all, adjusted for inflation, True Lies makes the top 200 list in terms of all-time grossing films. And make no mistake, the single biggest star in Hollywood is the mighty dollar sign. But there's never been a sequel to True Lies. That's a little strange, don't you think? Indeed, examples abound of Hollywood going out of its way not to offend the Islamist demographic. Case in point, Roland Emmerich, the director of Independence Day. Yes, when it comes to iconic architecture, Emmerich fully embraces the philosophy of SCTV's Big Jim McBob and Billy Saul Hurock.
She blowed up good.
She blowed up, all right.
Yeah, real good.
Real good.
Yeah, old Roland, he loves to blow up things real good, like the White House. But here's the thing, and get a load of this, folks. During production of the film 2012, the director had considered demolishing the Grand Mosque in Mecca on screen. He was promptly persuaded not to do so, even though 2012 depicts a global apocalypse. So it is that the Sistine Chapel and St. Peter's Basilica and the Christ the Redeemer statue, they're all blowed up real good, but no Middle Eastern landmarks are touched. In a media report, Emmerich stated, quote, "We have to all in the Western world think about this. You can actually let Christian symbols fall apart, but if you would do this with an Arab symbol, you would have a fatwa. So I kind of left it out." But surely the most egregious example of political correctness goes to the Nebushes who made the film The Sum of All Fears, which was released in 2002. The movie is based on Tom Clancy's 1991 novel, which featured Palestinian terrorists detonating a nuclear device at the Super Bowl. But the film's screenplay writer dismissed Islamic terrorism as being cliché. Seriously, so rather than having the film version of The Sum of All Fears being grounded in relevance and geopolitical reality, the studio replaced Palestinian terrorists with, you guessed it, neo-Nazis. At least the litigious zealots for the Council for American Islamic Relations were kept happy. Welcome to the new normal, folks. Cinematic terrorists can be anybody except, it would appear, Muslims. How sad, in his 1933 inaugural address, FDR opined, "We have nothing to fear but fear itself." But today, the milquetoast mavens of political correctness are seemingly endorsing another credo, namely, might makes right, or we have 100% tolerance for bullying. And by golly, for an industry that loves to pat itself on the back for bravery and daring every time the Oscars ceremony rolls around, there seems to be considerable cowardice afoot in Tinseltown today. In fact, we're probably at a point in which most film villains will forever be relegated into two camps: robots or aliens. Oh, and to clarify here, I'm talking space aliens here, folks, not illegal aliens. We don't want to offend the sensibilities of economic migrants, after all. And in a worst case scenario, if a movie such as Green Room truly needs an identifiable human group to play a villainous role, then just deck the set with Confederate flags or swastikas and make sure the heavies are Caucasian, because hey, white men can't jump, and for that matter, they don't tend to complain all that loudly either. For the Rebel.Media, I'm David the Menzoid Menzies.